So, over the years, we've seen countless projects that were mishandled by Kathleen Kennedy, or even projects that never came to existence because of her problems over at Lucasfilm and running into creative differences all the time that, of course, Bob Iger had to deal with before he left when Bob Chapek took over later on. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, for all of you that know the fact of what's been going on between Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy, there is a lot of bouncing back and forth between them about, of course, what's going on with her over at Lucasfilm as the president of the company, which, by the way, her days are getting shorter and shorter and really approaching to the point where she will be leaving. We're going to be talking a lot about that today because we have a couple of advancements on all of this, of what Bob Iger has been going over with the Disney board and exactly what kind of strategy they have in mind for Kathleen Kennedy, especially when it comes to the firing date range for Kathleen Kennedy as president of Lucasfilm. So, with that being, of course, the main thing to focus on, alright? That's one thing that I think a lot of fans have been waiting for a very long time. It's what Bob Chapek, by the way, tried to do because he wanted her out, but nobody wanted the job. Nobody wanted to actually take on the responsibility of really cleaning up Lucasfilm as a company and taking it in the right direction. And that, of course, created more problems among the fans, because then a lot of people started not trusting in Bob Chapek anymore. So it was a vicious cycle, but here we are with Bob Iger. The one thing I gotta give him credit for is that he's actually putting his foot down now and making change, to a degree at least. So, with that being said, with Disney and Lucasfilm actively developing new Star Wars installments, Bob Iger has been shifting things around for the fans most recently, one of which is a detailed and in-depth plan on how he will go about firing Kathleen Kennedy as president. Now, it's described that as of right now, Bob Iger has all eyes on a strategy by letting Kathleen Kennedy go as a producer from multiple Star Wars projects one by one, before she is fired entirely, which is now described to be all set for the very beginning of August of 2023. Iger is described to have this set as stone, of course, and how it's going to be a plan that's very concrete to fire her, since all of her obligations, of course, with Dial of Destiny will be over once, of course, August arrives. Kennedy is said to have been made aware of this entire scenario, that her firing plan would only be reversed if she truly changed her path with Star Wars, and it's too late for that now anyway, since Skeleton Crew is already almost done filming, and Acolyte is currently filming as we speak. So let me just pause here for a second. Now, they gave her the option to stay as president of Lucasfilm, but it's not going to happen, because she would have to change her ways over at Lucasfilm when it comes to Star Wars, like a complete change, to the point where you won't even recognize that it's Kennedy's work. That's not going to happen, so I don't think that we have to worry about that there. Now, when you look at John and Dave, alright, they've been really much in charge anyways for the past, 13 months now for the most part. They've been calling the shots on a lot of the upcoming TV shows. They got big-time promotions about 3 months ago that gives them more power financially and, of course, creatively as well over at Lucasfilm, so that's another thing to be very excited about. But I think that the thing that really does put things into perspective is that Bob Iger wants her out now by August of 2023, the very beginning of that month. We could be looking at anywhere from August 1st to the 7th. And within that week, alright, is when Dial of Destiny's promotion finally comes to a close. Alright, so we're talking about Indy 5, by the way, that's Dial of Destiny. In that movie, of course, Kathleen Kennedy, has been making a couple of choices here and there that have been said to be very controversial that we will be finding out in June when that movie debuts in theaters. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what's going on there. Now, back to, of course, Bob Iger. For those of you that don't know, Bob Iger came back to Disney by a request from many of the board members, alright? Because they too could not find anybody else that wanted to become Disney CEO. And they kind of ran into the same, Kathleen Kennedy boat, right? Bob Chapek wanted to get rid of Kennedy, nobody wanted the job, so Kennedy stayed. It kind of is the same scenario where the board wanted to get rid of Chapek because of his problems with the Disney parks mainly. That was the main reason, by the way. And so they couldn't find anybody valuable else, and they just got Bob Iger back. Now, Bob Iger, by the way, is not said to be staying for very long. He might stay for 2 years, 3 years max, and then leave. So he's not going to be here for a very, very long time. This is more of a temporary solution before they get somebody else to actually put in over at Disney. Alright? So, on to the next thing. Now, Iger is, of course, said to have had multiple meetings with of course, Ron Howard, I should say, and David Heyman to become the new Lucasfilm president. However, Howard is the top of the list right now over Heyman. Kathleen Kennedy is now trying to voluntarily step down before she gets fired by August of 23, and to move to her own production company even before it's finalized, just so she can avoid the headlines that she was fired, since that will taint her career history in the film industry. Now, Kathleen is described to be very angry with the Disney board, also for allowing this to happen, as they too have been fed up with her handling of Star Wars, and well, just Lucasfilm in general. Now, we've talked about this production company already. It's currently codenamed as Starlight Productions. We talked about this. That's not going to be the final name, by the way, but it's basically going to be a company that will make a host of sci-fi shows, sci-fi movies to compete with things like Star Wars and Star Trek. And just knowing that, how Bob Iger even knows that, you would think that he would want to give her the boot right now, right? But he's not. For some reason why, we don't know. It could very well have to do with availability, like I said before, what happened with Chapek, where nobody else won the job right away. That could very well be what's happening with Ron Howard and David Heyman. So, August of 2023 is the big plan for Bob Iger to give Kathleen Kennedy the boot, get her out of there, and really clean Lucasfilm up as a company from literally like the ground up, just getting rid of some employees, putting some new employees in there, and just really hitting that reset button. And you know what? That's what it takes. That's what it really takes to kind of convince the fans that Star Wars is in better hands. Favreau and Filoni are great and all, let's not be, joking around here. They are amazing, but there needs to be more than that, alright? And that's exactly what they are doing. They're going to be working on getting new Lucasfilm employees and a whole lot more leadership as well. That's going to work hand in hand. I think that Ron Howard will work very well as a new president. So, anyways, with that being said, alright, let me know what you guys have to say about everything of what's going on with Kathleen Kennedy and the Bob Iger situation, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.